Dusk settles like a warm blanket for your heart. Rosemary's hearing awkward. Audio.
Nope. Yes.
No?
Yeah, you just stopped at awkward right there. Cut off.
I think I said awkward like twice. Could you specifically mention awkward what? Or what was before awkward?
Yeah.
Hmm.
After our 2 awkward conversations, I think you said.
Yeah, and then dusk thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it was when we go to like a warm blanket
Yeah.
that Dusty
Here.
carried after your 2 awkward conversations, and then cut right there.
You can see Bee's bicycle just guarded on the front porch. And you open the door, and there's the stairwell going up and the beaded curtain leads into the kitchen on the left, and you can hear the sounds of conversation. It's Willem doing some apology for something he probably did, but saying he didn't. And I don't know what you mean. I'll never do such a thing. And you push through the curtain, and cutting him off, sitting there is everybody's favorite mechanic, Kelly. He's in rather clean set of nice overalls. You realize is actually like overalls, but spans out into a dress. It has pockets and rather big belt on the side of it, and she's in a whole plate full of the biscuits, and immediately notices you guys with a mouthful of it, just waves enthusiastically, swallows it with a big gulp, and goes, "We decided to stick around after we went out for a little while. Honestly, one restaurant's the same as the other, and it's really about the people. We haven't seen you in a minute. Anyways, all anybody else is talking about is Griffin's Perch. You might as well hear it from the horse's mouth."
And Zal takes a seat.
Like, gives you a nod, and as in the rest of y'all have kind of like, been about your business throughout the evening, and would have gotten, have some naps and done some little quaint cafe dates. Where you talk about, foreboding futures and what y'all's plans were going to be. And you're now all gathered around this table of tea and wine and biscuits. It's not been a dinner, but there's food or ingredients for making food, if anybody felt like cooking. And you see pretty much the whole crew is gathered around here for the moment. There's a lot of tea out. Nan's sitting out at the end. Can't tell if she's awake or not, but she's there.
She's a spirit. She's a good spirit.
Yeah.
Hannah's fingertips are kind of bandaged up from her wood carving stuff, but she waves at you guys.
Jill kind of like he sits down, and kind of like looks at Kelly and kind of just like hand on palm on the on the table. It's like, so what do you want to hear? The whole story?
You don't necessarily always want the whole story from him. It's a very, very long affair.
Well, I mean, like I said, I mean, you have to contribute, but it.
Hmm.
You too, Arthur. Ah,
Yeah, I guess this is as good as time as any. No promises it'll be satisfactory. Nin's armor will head off to the kitchen.
You're already in it.
Yeah.
It's attached right to this little dining room area. Just imagine like when you walk through the beaded curtain, it's a little galley kitchen. There's a counter to the left,
oh,
the window to the left, and when you look right ahead of you, there's this little kind of alcove, like a small semicircle. A long table. It's made of mosaic pieces, and there's open windows that you can see looking out across the river there. And if you've seen that picture that I drew where you see the riverside and the window, that's the window that you see at the end of this galley kitchen. And when you look at the window, it's mostly obscured by hanging pots and plants and a few odd tables that are got different flowers and plants in them at varying heights. It makes it very green. As it turns into dusk, in that direction, you can actually see the sun actually having already dipped its light dark over those over the treetops across the river, and it's getting pretty late. And at one point, the lanterns in the room just like light up on their own, and Hanu, you instinctively look for the most powerful person in the room for being responsible, and she gives you like a little wink, and you realize she's not asleep at all.
Exactly.
And
I knew it, she says under her breath.
when you start preparing your meal,
Uh,
go ahead and give me a roll with your proficiency.
Hannah will look around uncomfortably for a bit and then wander up to Zarbin and offer to help out. I don't know.
Good thing I never promised it was satisfactory.
No,
Oh
like,
my God, yes!
I will channel divinity that and say, Zarbin, come on, let's go.
Keep the one. This is
No,
glorious.
I'm not gonna
No,
do
no,
it.
no, no, you also still have DM inspiration, remember?
Oh yeah, you did.
If you wanted to use that.
I'm
Roll
gonna,
again.
I'm gonna channel
I
divinity
like
this.
the idea of
'cause-
channeling divinity
because-
to make sure that the meal tastes good.
Yeah, she's like,
Oh
no, come
my
on.
God. Roll one again. Roll one again, please.
There are options.
Yeah, it's up to you.
I'm better.
It's like,
Damn it.
she looks.
22.
Yeah.
That was
Alright.
glorious.
Yeah,
Alright, yeah,
she
there you
looks a
go.
little bit uncomfortable as she approaches you, but she offers to help assist you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going now, and like Zell's going down the story of how like he went on this vacation, but when he arrived there, he went to this really cool spa that was actually filled of ghosts, like actual ghosts, and telling how like
Oh, if we're gonna be telling tales, I suppose we should probably be starting from much earlier. I don't even know some of the folk in this room. Hi, my name's Kelly. And she goes and holds her hand out to you with that.
Babette de Visage. And she kind of gives Kelly a little bow, like a, very flamboyant bow.
Hannah yells across the kitchen, Kelly's the best, so you better treat her as such.
She seems pretty fantastic.
Damn straight.
well, I think you should also give her a handshake. I mean, do as a Koyakos, I would say.
And she does give a handshake, but she gives the bow first. I just brain shut down.
She gives a bow as she gives you a handshake.
Yeah.
And, we have become quite the eclectic group. I remember when I first wandered into the what tavern was that? Oh man, I don't even remember. It's
Oh,
been
that-
so long.
That's a while back.
I think all the people
Was it something
there,
to do with an anchor?
possibly.
Something like that.
Either
All I
way,
remember
you went
was
through a couple of
Cat
interviews.
Killerman.
I think honestly you're the best interview we had. By far. Not saying you too, Willem, even though we did have to bust you from jail.
Well, he had a word of
It was not
recommendation.
my fault.
Piranha.
But
Yes. And of course, I do not regret that all in the slightest. He says with a slight smile, and Willem just like you can tell he like looks at Toronto and looks at you, and Kelly ends up laughing her guts out at it, and Fee has no idea what's going on, but she laughs as well. And Willem just looks like, wait, was I insulted or complimented? I don't know. And
Honestly, I'm surprised you had such a conventional adventuring introduction to each other for such an unconventional group.
oh, you're certain about that? Yes, we had no idea what we were in.
Oh, I know that feeling incredibly well.
well, starts to be excited for you. Get into crazy adventures.
One moment you are sailing away from pirate days in the mark, you are witnessing hidden aboleths, dragon turtle. I am, of course, not certain whether or not I would have seen such things had I not had this. Maya just kind of like gives like a nod, but then like crosses her arms and shit. Like, all right, that's as much and compliments that I'm given since we're all being complimenty. And she's gotten a couple of glasses of wine in at this point in time. Zarman, you finished cooking, and the food, smells amazing. That duck recipe that you've been fucking working on, we pulled it off. And, like, it's over what you would expect from just a recipe. There's a little love in there. Everybody like, he is voracious for details along the way, and is thoroughly convinced that if bards knew about your stories more often, that you'd be the most famous adventurers that have ever adventured ever.
Oh, thank you, Fee. That's a compliment.
As it approaches the details of when you guys got to Port Valiant and the stuff with the Marvesies, and the details with the beast, the term the beast just gets brought up in the vicinity of talking about Port Valiant. And Fee is just like, now, okay, that sounds extremely scary. I usually like animals, but that doesn't sound like a nice one.
No, he was very not pleasant at all.
Yeah. One of his werewolves chomped me in the leg really hard. It still wounds my soul to this day, she says, rubbing her shin.
Actual werewolf?
Yeah, well, it was like a full
Yeah,
wolf werewolf, but I mean, I'm fine. It's just... The first interaction with a
Few
wolf
of us
went that
received
way.
chomp
I feel like not all
but
werewolves are bad,
mostly fun.
though.
Oh. What
Maybe
makes you
he
say that,
had
Fee?
a really good reason for biting you. So,
Yeah.
Not all
you
of them
go.
are probably bad, but definitely, the ones that a group like you fight is probably not that great.
That one's yeah, well, very nice. Though I do agree with you, Fee. There might have been a chance that they weren't bad people. Just something worse took over.
My mom has this song, and it says pretty much in translation that everybody's got a little bit of good and a little bit of bad.
Yeah. I mean, I
I
never.
would agree on that.
The werewolf might have just not liked my leg tattoos. Who knows at this point? But still, it hurt.
What was the beast like?
First thing he just started describing was how he was going to kill us, something like that. I don't fully remember.
It was spooky.
Classic villain monologuing.
Wait,
So
Yeah, it was probably one of the largest things we've seen. Its shadow.
Zell kind of looks to Eliza and kind of seeing her getting uncomfortable. Kind of looks through an eye and being like, "None of you have nothing to blame yourself about, Eliza. That was a shitty situation."
well, here's the one thing too. There was somebody subverting this. A person in white. I mean, they ran away, got their sins quite hidden, but somebody meticulously weaved this web.
Yeah.
To make a perfect explosion happen. But luckily for us, we're pretty
Person in white?
explosive to,
What did they look like?
and can I try to remember the, bits and pieces
It
of
wasn't
her
that
memory.
long ago. You
Yeah.
do recall that it was and Zale, you would recall, especially because
Yep.
it's still within the last month.
Yeah. Exactly.
That there was a woman in white and a cloak of white feathers that was responsible for stirring a lot of those events. You know that a woman in white gave a wand to this homeless person, and it kind of prompted a lot of the crazy stuff that happened in that town. And while they were all searching for that homeless person who got this ridiculously powerful wand, things were rising up from below the city, and powder kegs had been lit.
Mm-hmm.
And you also saw the footsteps of what appeared to be a woman's size in the
And
cauldron.
yeah, going to the
You
cauldron.
led Eliza.
Yep.
So when you went under there with Eliza to grab that water, and the beast was, kind of taunting you guys along the way, you'd seen footsteps of a woman, and assumed that it was probably the same woman with the white feathered cloak.
Yeah.
When
And I want to why all this is being mentioned. You, Babette, clearly remember just not that long ago.
when I was getting chased with
and
Eliza,
Eliza-
there was that woman who was talking to all the people with the horned masks.
Mm,
Yeah, and she was connected to Pridwin, correct?
Yes. You don't know
No, okay.
who she was.
There was somebody who I had.
There's no.
Oh,
You have no idea who she is.
okay.
But you just noticed her because she just stood out as being an outlier. And mostly because like her outfit kind of stands out, and then the group that she went and spoke to are all tiefling, and so that kind of made you go, all right, that's weird.
Mhm.
yeah.
Why is there an all tiefling group, and who is this non-tiefling that just went to talk to the whole all tiefling group?
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew spinning.
She had a white
Yeah.
cloak.
Yeah, I knew spinning conspiracies about the footprints and all the other stuff from the cauldron, and she's like egging Zale on to try to try to get him in on this kind of conspiracy. drive. She.
Oh, you do also remember that there was a cult in at this time. There was a cult in
Yeah, of Port
Fort
Valiant
Valiant
about
at the
enough.
time that was
So.
targeting tiefling.
Yeah, so she'll be like, yeah, and then we still never followed up on the Nathopoly thing, but that's probably long gone because that sailed shipped long time ago. Either way, Kigs were about to be exploded, but just like the Akuji, we kind of threw them out and, you know, had that happen.
Nathopoly.
Uh,
That another heroic group of adventurers are out there solving that problem.
Ah.
And you're here because there's something here you need to solve.
Yeah.
Huh.
Listen,
I have a
nothing good
question.
happens in Nathopoly, I'm just saying.
I have a question. Did the cloak happen to look
Nathopoly?
like this? And then Babette changes her charlatan's clothes to look like the white feathered cloak of that woman.
Oh. Oh yeah. No. Huh.
Maybe. I mean, we didn't really
Never
see.
saw her
didn't.
firsthand.
I know,
Yeah,
like,
we never saw it firsthand,
Mm.
and Eliza would actually be the one with the account of that because she was with the investigating shit.
yeah, so.
So, the person who would be most likely able to would be Eliza.
Mhm.
I don't. What do I remember about that?
You heard this from the drunkard that was as far as you could tell, the same drunkard who had been possessed by Victor at one point and hawked out by Kaluki out of his nose inside of your place of work.
Yeah.
That drunkard recounted a story of having been approached by a woman in a white feathered cloak who gave him that wand that gave him all of that power. And what he used to kind of throw the city into chaos. He stole from a bunch of shops, he set a bunch of animals free in the city, and while chasing one of those animals, a pyralisk, a like feathered fire-breathing bird that doesn't fly, that had run into one of these mines and could potentially explode the entire sewers with its fireball-like breath. You were chasing down that bird when you stumbled across a threat rising from underneath the city. And that's what led you into having to accidentally, well, not accidentally, so it led you to having to choose release the beast so that you could instead gain access to this cauldron
Gotcha.
you gained access to without releasing them. And this person had the footsteps of a woman that you assumed was probably that same woman in the white dress.
Gotcha. So yeah, Eliza would have. She would describe that.
Hey, can I look at the build and see that kind of springs anything?
No, the footsteps look right for the foot size looked right for the footstep size that you'd seen before. Go ahead and give me a religion.
Cool.
And
I'll put a 1d4 to that. 21.
1. Okay, good. So that is a depiction that resembles very similarly one of the three hags, one of the three sisters or three matrons. Believed to be the one that taught magic to people amongst the witchy circles of the world. Druids and the arcane circles of the world credit the boy wizard with being the one who taught magic to the world. The witchy circles and the druids credit one of the three sisters with being it, and it's this one. You can't recall her name, but you do know that she is one of the three matrons.
She says that out loud and scratches her cheek a little bit, tilts her head. It could be somebody who wants to regale a tale, or maybe bring people to to their sides, or she's just, I don't know.
Somebody's playing dress up.
Yeah, slandering an image or just borrowing one because it's easier if you have a story behind you to be believed. Who knows?
Definitely true.
Yeah. But anyways, Nathopoli, nope, that has been a bad place for the druids throughout history. That's where a big slaughter happened. So I don't even want to know what else is going over there. And she takes a long sip of her tea. Huh. And then she stops. Okay, I'm gonna
Seems to
store
know
that
a lot
away.
about druids. Well,
Yep. I grew
I
up on.
heard druids are like wizards, but for nature.
They're better
I-
than net wizards. I will tell you that. Yeah, I grew up on an island filled with druids, and my mother was a druid.
You a druid?
She stops for a moment, takes that into consideration. I guess you can call me a druid, but for people.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Chuckles at
Druids
that.
are the most complicated of animals, so you must be a really high druid.
Okay, what iteration of high are we talking about, number one? She tilts her head even further.
Are other types of high?
Oh,
Honey,
okay.
please.
No, I'm okay. She just kind of. I have a lot to teach you. Anyways, and she coughs a little bit. But yes,
Man.
I am so curious about the magic you've been able to cast in front of us before, Faith.
How about
I
this?
didn't even realize that I was doing magic.
Well, how about this? Wait a second. I've been noticing you as you're, been working on the plants. I need you to come outside just a little bit, and she will motion to her to step out. And then she will briefly explain some motions, and she will try to describe the other use of druid craft, which is doing the weather forecast.
The weather orb.
Yeah. And she just makes motions and does her best to speak in druidic. It's really rusty. But then just look up at the sky and take a deep breath. And see what happens.
You can see the rest of you can actually see her through the side window. So like the big window looks out over the river, and you can see like to the left of the cubby, there's a window that looks to the garden area. I like see out through it, and the little window on the door, and
Alright. Golden orb for clear skies, cloud for rain, and snowflakes for snow.
So watch as this orb appears, and it's like this really nice, clear sky, like with an almost like looks like a snow globe, right? But without like the bottom of it just popped up between her hands, right? And inside it's a beautiful sunny area, and like a weird distorted kind of lensed look of y'all's current area actually. And just like Rosemary's house caught inside of a snow globe and slightly fish-eyed, and this sun poking on above it. But then it gets rainy, and then it gets to where it's snowy, and then it gets to where it's windy, and then it gets to where it's rainy, and then it gets to where it's sunny, and then it gets to where and it goes like that for like a moment.
Hmm.
And she just like pops it out. She goes, I don't think that's working.
Well, guess what though? You weren't able to do that before.
No, that was definitely a lot like magic.
I mean, yeah. So now,
Right? You know how sometimes elves can just cast light and stuff?
mm-hmm,
It's like no problem at all for them.
mm-hmm.
I always just figured that maybe the reason I was good with plants and animals because I was. She squints her eyes at you. Secretly related to fairy princesses?
You know, that is still a theory that has not been disproven yet.
Oh my
I
god.
knew it!
I think so.
That's why you're really here.
Gonna
Or is it just a twist of fate?
It could be both. Who knows at this point? Keep an open mind. But shoot,
Annabeth looks over to Eliza and kind of smiles and says,
Hands inside.
the Fae are pretty fantastic creatures.
yeah, she will also point over the ocean. Plus, Arthur did said weird weather effects was going to happen with that whole thing. So, you know, we can just strengthen your connection to nature and see what happens, right? If that's okay, if you want. She motions over to,
Take my training seriously.
Alrighty. She gives her, for once, a genuine smile and ruffles her hair. And this is the first time the group has seen her smile.
Everybody's peeking around the corner at this point and is looking at
Zorman is unapologetically peeking while eating.
Yeah.
And there's a proud look in her eye. And she'll mention something in Druidic, which is, you are the little bird underneath my wing, go fly. And she'll give her a piggyback ride and enter the door with everybody else.
We stop peeking.
Then she
So
goes back.
Babette straight up just like went outside to watch.
Bunch of cats pop up over like the tops of like doors and over like the corners of the walls and like on the tree branches and stuff, like witness to the moment. She conjures woodland beings without realizing it.
See? And this here will be your cat-throleria. We'll work on that pun later, okay? Let's go.
God.
I do have my glove off. Yeah, still have the glove off. Okay.
Oh,
Feeling this great. Well,
I still do have my notes. I can look up into it, and I can teach you at least the basis of what you need to know. We can, if you continue your training, we can look for somebody else too. I mean, I can only get you so far, but it's better than nothing. So, she'll put Fee down.
So, you said that a bunch of druids were killed in Mythopoli?
Yeah, a long time ago, it spurred the Age of Saints. I mean, druids.
That's why they called druids witches for a little while, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Anne said something about this once.
Yeah. I mean, people.
And still there at the table just nods her head.
Mm-hmm. I mean, people don't understand things. They usually persecute that because they don't want to, but times have changed. And in the Coterie Coast, druids are seen in a better light. But I do know it's been a rough history up here in the Sovereign States. That's for sure. Don't worry, I'm gonna punch anybody who says
Very
anything mean to me.
wise.
Hmm?
You should listen to her. You would learn very much. There's only so much you can learn about your gifts here in a place like. But perhaps fate has brought lessons to you.
Mm-hmm.
Jen.
It could be a good trade. You can learn more about the world, and you can bring more flowers into your knowledge to share with everybody else here.
I'm ready to learn as much as I can.
Very good. We'll start tomorrow morning. Actually, well, whenever your work schedule clears up, we'll start then. She will nod. Having heard the compliment from Nan and going into her sagely wise mode, nod. Yeah.
Still smiles and they kind of look to Bobette and Eliza. So what about you
I
guys?
was gonna ask what we were having for dessert, but that moment was so sweet.
Yeah, that's the.
I'm all full up on dessert.
Mhm. Speaking of which, tell me about you two. You and Liza, Bobette. How was your guys' childhood?
Eliza is gonna look at Babette and just like smile really, I don't know, like sentimentally.
Well, having me in the picture meant that it was a little exciting, I guess.
Details?
Oh, I mean, there's so many stories.
Babette had a way of finding, well, I'm sure you've noticed she still does have a way of finding chaotic and strange situations.
Honestly, I don't think it's me this time. I think it might be you guys.
I think that you found us because it's a common trait in this.
True. I'm
I
just
know they
drawn to
do
the most
call
chaotic
you
things.
doxes in the paper.
We're magnets for mystery.
And chaos.
Oh, I like that.
What, the chaos and the mystery?
That should be on merchandise.
Women of mist and women.
Ah.
One of the. I think Prashad's speaking right now. Hold on.
He just looks at. He just does this kind of looks at Toronto with that smile.
And it's just, hair, got her bow unstrung, and she's, sitting in a fucking corner like some fucking Aragorn Strider wannabe. But her armor's got a lot more shine to it. But she's had a quaint smile on her face, as she looks at you little hobbitsies and
Oh man. Still was so. I have to admit, what was looking to like Kelly and like Willow? What was your first impression of you of us we gave you? I mean, I know you, Kelly. You're friendly to everybody. You're you're amazing.
well, I thought y'all were certainly out of place. But I don't know, there was definitely something there. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but you know what it's like every once in a while when you see just one of those impossible, intriguing ideas. You just can't help yourself. You gotta dig a little deeper. I've always known what mysteries were, and you were certainly one the moment I laid eyes on you. Well, from my perspective, I see you from the other end of a jail cell. certainly use the perspective. Always been grateful. And certainly, from the moment I met you on it was shocking to say the least. Looks right at you, Zarman. A
Zarman
moment,
grins.
things you think aren't just tales from Bahans, suddenly reality.
I try to make as few as my words as empty as possible.
First time I met
Um,
Willem, he tricked me into doing his deck chores. She turns away, scoffing.
It was a character building. Really?
Sure. You were sleeping, I know it. I mean,
You all did it.
I am really good at being a deckhand now, thanks to you, but still. You lied to me.
At least he didn't get hit by sandbags every time he went up on deck.
It is not my fault that you cannot look where you are going.
Oh,
Ship is a big place.
You were totally aiming for me, alright?
You're just
You
a
do
mag-
not know what you are talking about.
You're a magnet for sandbags. What's your problem, Zale? Oh my gosh.
You two. Don't be about me. That's really big. He's laughing.
There's been a few times when we were trekking up here in Auville that my sandbag almost hit you. I think there's something that we need to look into this.
Oh, you think I have just a attraction to a sandbag? The sandbags want to hit me.
I don't think it's the only sort of magnetism that's going on with you. I'm starting to think you're something of an anomaly, actually, Zale. I've formed several theories about it, actually.
Oh, I'm intrigued. What
Oh,
kind?
you were talking earlier about how you were just in the middle of having a wedding when tragedy suddenly beset, and then thereafter there was a sizable explosion. This sounds quite familiar, a turn of events. Before you kissed another tiefling, and then shortly thereafter there was another explosion up over the ocean. And so I'm not saying that correlation equals causation, but I'm certainly saying that it's a noteworthy correlation, and perhaps for the purpose of scientific purposes only. Somebody should be there to observe the next time you, and in case it's a dangerous situation, maybe do it away from people, like the Arctic or maybe a
Explosive.
desert.
You say my kiss is explosive.
I'm saying that perhaps it might be related to things exploding, but not necessarily explosive itself. The observation is required for us to be able to form a proper hypothesis. It's purely abstract at that moment.
I knew Snickers. She's saying you light the fuse which causes chaos, Mr. Chaos.
Well, I mean, we wouldn't have been here if I didn't. I don't think any of us would have met if I didn't. Happy that I did, actually, though. Still
I
smart.
suppose you should at least own it.
That's what was said.
You run into any particular trouble setting up the airship again?
Oh no, I managed to get my buster working completely. Once I got that put together, it was pretty much a cakewalk getting it out of the ocean. The rest of it is going to be mostly maintained by the other crew members and some hired help we've got. Mostly shipbuilding at this moment. I'm not much of a carpenter. I think I'm going to spend some time up here in the city for a moment. I missed you all, and personally, directing carpenters is not exactly what I was hot on.
Yeah, Speaking of
Nod and
which,
goes, well, I would prefer to stay fine if we are going to be in Avil. I have no desire to sit in a quaint little town like that. There is no fighting to be had.
well, if I don't know anything, there's a lot of people you can duel here. A lot of people willing.
I mean, but sometimes there's just spontaneous fighting. That's the best type.
Yes, cause a bar fight. That would go down great.
Yeah, bar fights are great. I don't know what's your deal with it, especially when you
Zorman
instigate it.
pinches his snout.
Okay, fine. I haven't started a bar fight in like years, though. Okay.
So
I
that's
would
still,
love to see you in a bar fight, Hanu.
I mean, I feel like she'll fuck everybody up. I'm not gonna lie.
Rana just like shakes her head and is like, "Mm, please not put ourselves on it. We are becoming public figures.
Yep.
Especially with how much people are looking at us, everything we do will reflect on everybody.
Tanu nods. But I mean, if a bar fight does start, I'm gonna finish it. I will tell you that. And she'll drink her tea again.
Eliza's rolling her eyes quietly.
I was laughing.
Rana also then looks at you, Zarman, and Zale and goes, your meeting. Good one. How did it go? Oh, and well, you're not.
The original arrangement was followed through with, but he posed an idea.
Yeah. Hey,
I was hoping to speak with you about it, whether you'd want to do it now or later.
no, I feel like everybody should be privy to that. I mean, it was addressed to all of
And
us.
she raises her hand, her eyebrow raises in a sharp arch, and she just gestures. Please. Yeah.
Yeah, might as well be with everybody's on. I mean, this is our
Yeah.
action.
No, I was just making sure everybody was ready for this moment being it. You have the maps, don't
Yep.
you?
And so, pops up the maps and rolls it on the table. Make sure, be careful not to knock anything on it. So, that's pretty much bringing up, and I think me and Hana were thinking the same thing. Your Killers Without Borders was the thing you were talking about,
Yeah.
Hana?
Yeah.
Well, Pridwin, pretty much. What's going on is the Order of Asmodeus is actually, for Pridwin's theories, also information that he gained. The Order of Asmodeus is causing silver unrest within Arville and Arthon. Pretty much. Creating chaos in which they are greedily using against the crown. As now, the Knightly Orders, the Protectives, are actually refusing to be employed right now because of the guidance of the Order Asmodeus. So right now, actually, the Queen of Ballville that are actually in the front lines. Well, as Pridwin was talking, he proposed an alliance of our two factions. The Stars of Sea Society and his Ashmall. To weaken this Order of Asmodeus in an economic battle. Seizing control of the economic power and resources that Alva has gained. And pushing the Order of Asmodeus out of Alville.
Hmm.
Thus, also, their influence on the Protectors, as well their influence on the Falk, the people.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm?
Stars and Sea Society, and Hana was already kind of talking about with me. I feel like we should expand our influence. I mean, we already talked to the prince. I know you want dead to run, and I am sorry about that. But that's why I'm giving you all the information now before we do anything. Because as much as we are individuals, we are on Stars and Sea Society. We're all here together. And I feel like everybody should be know what our next course of action as an organization and the group should be.
Well, what do we know of Vox, actually?
We know that there are a bunch of dynamite wielding commoners that are willing to do just about anything to make a point.
Yeah, but from what I know, they're also the voice of the people.
They
Who are
also have
oppressed.
some kind of outside influence.
Yeah, I mean, the actions of a few
What?
shouldn't dictate that of 1,000. And
Yes, but Fridwin did actually bring up that the people that might be influencing them and giving them access to resources is the Order as well. Yes.
yeah,
I mean,
so if, with my understanding, we just dilute that. We bring the
exactly.
voice back to the people instead of people. I mean, the foreign agent or the outside agent tries to corrupt it. I mean,
Who is the Order of Asmodeus?
Marcellus did bring it up that they always seem to appear in the strangest moments, which I do think. She looks over to Willem. You are saying that the Ashfall was doing to the Stars and Sea Society.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, well, these
Well,
guys
anyway,
have been usurping actually the crown and Lashfall, basically playing their shadow wars and messing with the economic and civil economy of Othel and Athlon.
and if what Perdwin was saying is true, the Crown's a little busy dealing with the war with other nations.
I
So
mean,
that leaves us, the Ashfall, and the Order of Asmodeus to play here.
I'm fine helping people out.
Of course.
No,
Yeah.
we follow our.
So,
And of course, the angle of how the Order of Asmodeus is appealing to the protectors is saying that the Crown isn't protecting people anymore.
yeah.
I mean, we go with our original dogma when we first arrived here.
Right? Help the
Help
people.
the people.
Yeah. I mean, you got
We
to
also
cut off the poison
Alliance
supply.
with Goodwin is something that should not be taken lightly, though.
no.
That is a powerful
Of course.
and shady man.
Yeah, and he's also my dad. Looks
I
across the
apologize.
table and
Oh no. Arthur decided to reveal it now. Perfect. Got you.
All right, guys. As a group.
Yep, well, at this point, just let Toronto do what she do,
he's
I guess.
oh, oh, yeah, I just found out.
The
Oh.
awkward pause. Feels like kind of tapping the pencil he got.
Uh, yes, father is sometimes shady.
Hmm.
He is purposeful and has dedicated his very long life yeah pretty much everybody at the neglect of his own family.
I mean, he had.
Very dedicated person, has made very many sacrifices.
He's wearing
Yeah,
blinders right now. He has a season
a
end
practical
gold.
saint.
So,
In any case, though,
We have reason. We have a benefit of working with them for now, at the very least, regardless.
I mean, he
Yes,
was.
but
He's
I
looking to
believe-
set some unrest in the protectors. We just have to appeal to the protectors' image that the Order of Asmodeus set.
He was also
Exactly.
friends with Saint Eva. I mean, be as it may, whatever his personality has become more what it is, and he doesn't show it to people, only to a select few. He does see good in the world. It's just he has blinders on. But luckily enough, family doesn't really be dictated by blood alone. That's why the Water Genasi likes to adopt people. The heart is what makes a family.
Does Tirana seem like kind of upset by me calling Pridwin shady? Or is she like, no, that's fair?
No, she seemed like that's fair.
Yeah.
Your passive
Okay.
insight's good enough to
I'm gonna
recognize it.
just-
She's like, that's fair, but
I'm gonna also just look at her to see how she feels with the concept of brother, because that's a soft, hard
Yeah.
target for her.
give me a insight check.
I'm gonna redo that with
Also,
Sage's.
I don't know.
No, you know Tirana pretty well, so like your insight check can be an advantage.
Okay, the first one was
26.
26, and I get a 1d4 and 27.
Alright. You know that Tirana does not think of her father that way. That is way more Seth's type of words. That fact that she just said something that's not what she thinks about her dad at all. In fact, she probably agrees with Arthur on this.
Right,
But
but she's just pointing it out just for option's sake.
Yeah, devil's advocate.
yeah, and brother as well. Like she might be projecting really quickly. No, you should be saying this kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oof.
You realize that she's not acting. She's trying to like keep it together, but she's pretty hitter, pretty hard.
She's a bit shook.
And yeah, she looks pretty. She looks always put together, and she still does. So from anybody else's perspective, there's no sign of anything on this. You just know the content of those words are much more Seth than
Yeah.
her, and that adds a layer to this that you go, okay.
Yeah.
That continues.
Um,
Insane.
Would I also know
I
if
don't-
alcohol will help her or exacerbate this? For her?
No idea. You have no idea.
Uh,
In the dark.
Alright, yeah, I keep an eye on her though.
so.
But I
proceed
do
forward.
walk over and give her some water. So.
And Zale.
Though things going what he's saying. What? As I was thinking, I don't feel like it would be in our best interest to completely comply to this partnership with him. We have our own ways of doing things, and I think our ways are better.
Until we're asked to do anything beyond our own, we have no reason to object, though.
Not objecting, no. We're blending what he wants to do. We're observing them. Just not quite.
Go with it for now.
Just not quite the way he wants to. Again, look at, and he points to the vagrants. This right here. I know Hanu and Tree, you might take interest in this one. The vagrant. No one's touched this group yet. That means that there's untapped potential in this.
Mhm.
As much as artificers would be a good thing to go for, artificers, and knowing myself, means war machines, stuff like that, armaments, equipment. But if we're trying to win the people, that's not how we're gonna win them. Infrastructure, growth,
Mhm.
reconstruction, rebuilding things they have lost. That is where we have to hit them, and that's what we should see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
We
that
can
would
go to the artificers and make sure that the Order of Asmodeus doesn't have Lloyd, doesn't gain their favor. But it doesn't mean that we solely have to follow that. Get them out of their favor, but not go wholeheartedly just for the artifices. And much as I you see the advantages of it, the advantages of gaining other resources other than artifices is a much more gained cause.
Right, yeah.
Especially if we want to win over the people.
Hannah holds her hand up and looks over to Zarman. You were saying something?
I think we can all appeal to all these groups if we really tried to.
Yeah. There's
Oh,
a
yes.
But of
balance
course,
to be made.
we do need to invest in locations and see who we invest it for. Because of course we definitely want to invest in the people.
I mean, yeah.
And doing so will get us some points with probably the protectors.
Yeah.
Because the whole image of why they disconnected from the crown is that they aren't protecting people.
Yeah, and if the
We
people.
be the solution that
Yeah.
the Order of Asmodeus is posing as a problem.
Yeah, exactly. If the people have their voices being checked, well, then it'll seem that the protectors are not listening to the people, so then who are they answering to?
Exactly.
Show them their own hypocrisy. I mean,
Yes.
I was
So that we can also solve their problems when they all talk.
planning. I mean, I sent a letter over to Prince. Either way, I could talk to him about it.
I think Prince is gonna be very handy what's gonna come next.
Yeah. I mean, I have some ideas I was gonna spin. It was kind of low, but I mean, I was planning on trying to give swimming lessons to the locals over here for free. But why don't we bring Maelstrom to Avia? Princess liked it. I
Mhm.
think we at least
I
have
like
appeal
that
with
idea.
royalty.
No, that's actually great, Hanu. Entertainment. But also creating jobs.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Maelstrom is
That's
the philosophy that you band together no matter what to overcome any odds.
I like it. Definitely we should get that to Prince. That's a nice slogan to put on it.
Yeah, I'll add it to my list.
And of course, if we mention it, Prince was involved, I think that'll make him happy, regardless if he fully
Yeah.
is or not.
I mean,
I think Prince would like to get involved wherever we have, especially in this kind of plans.
listen.
Well, and from a practical standpoint, that would be a good way to create money.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, but as we were saying, the jobs, my ancestors, there was a lot of time between the Civil War where there was just periods of stagnant growth and setting up the economy usually at least appeased people.
Yeah,
So-
and we have a lot of money to play with, especially after the events you guys went through. As Zarman looks between Anu, Zale, Babette, and Arthur.
Yeah, about that. I
I was
Mm,
like, messing, like, kind of like has his finger on the ring, just kind of like holding it,
yeah.
kind of covering it.
Kind of scratched the back of her neck. I don't think you were there for the conversations, Armin, but I did offer a job opportunity to the Griffin's Guard, and they seem to be considering it highly. So we have that to take into consideration.
Yeah, good
Yeah,
folk.
even more reason to make money. So we
Hence
can
why
sustain
revenue
that.
from a stadium would probably be
I
a
have
good
a
idea.
much better shot than that Buckeye guy. I don't give a fuck what he does.
Look, listen, Buckeye has a good spirit.
Arthur, we know you're the best shot. All right, you're best shot in the world.
Mm.
All right.
Mm.
I don't know about
That,
Honestly,
that kind of giggles
There's
and
an old-
giggles at Arthur.
Evidently, there's an older version of me out there. And so, obviously, you're shooter in the world. At least. Even if I'm the best shooter in the world, older me would be better than me. And so, I hate time travel. Moral of the story.
Mm.
Yeah, we should reach out to him one of these days.
Yeah,
Yeah, and younger me.
about that. I've been thinking about it. I managed to just barely cast scrying. I think that was probably a one-time deal. I mean, I could try again, but that did take out a lot for me. We need to find somebody who can do
I
that.
think it'd be
Well,
easier to reach out to him with a sending that.
Yeah, I give sending to them, and most likely knowing me, I've already given him something to put on to hide his presence.
You could always look for another seer, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
So, a seer that we can trust, number one. Number two, yeah, there's a lot to consider. But I was planning on giving him the heads up to mobilize. I'm pretty sure Arthur, she'll motion over to Wildevere area, is waiting for news to mobilize. So we have to make sure we time that right. Because I don't know what plans we actually are mobilizing, if that makes
Oh,
sense.
And the time being,
the fact that he isn't already here means that we're not meant to meet me yet.
Exactly.
Because wouldn't I know?
Yeah.
Hey, time travel.
We will look for the signs, and once it arrives, we will at least find a seer that we trust, and when that time is right, we enact this plan. Sound good?
yeah.
I wonder if
Well,
the witches. I wonder if
like-
the witches have a seer,
Yeah, that can
and
work out.
Babette kind of looks over at Eliza.
Well, we should definitely investigate that.
I
Y'all are
do.
looking into witches?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know
I'm
anything?
so excited.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I have some crafting to do. Actually, I be a little bit busy.
You wouldn't be talking about Suntown, would you?
Yeah, we'd planned on trying to get in.
I've heard it's pure luck on whether or not you end up in Suntown. Some days you're just walking around, and then one day you're just somewhere else. I hear it's extremely magical, and then you walk across a river, and then you're back here again. As if no time had gone at all.
Does this involve a sundial? Because that sounds really interesting.
Chance, how much do I know about how you get in? I know you told me like there's a certain time of day.
Mm. You know that there's an alleyway between two streets in the Sant'Elieri, is the westernmost district near the West River. And at some point, the sun reaches a point where it touches the whole wall of one side of this alley. And when it does that, anything that's in that alley at that brief moment goes to Suntown, a mystical, witchy town. And as she just said, evidently those that are there can stay there as long as they want, but whenever they leave, they're back right to the moment that they had left, but having aged for all the years that they had spent in Suntown. So if you were to stay in Suntown for 100 years and then walk across the river, you would walk out the same moment that you had disappeared. Like a split second later, you would appear right back in the same alley anyway, but you would be 100 years older.
Gotcha.
Oh my God, reverse Narnia, man.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I know where to go, and I have a vague idea of how to get in, but
You know the two things, the two streets, and pretty much an hour window between 12 and 1 o'clock. Actually, between 12:15 and 1:15, and then you'll be able to see when it hits.
Okay.
So yeah, we plan on going there as soon as there's time. Babette and I were gonna check it out. We're open to help if anyone wants to come along.
I mean, yeah, I'll be down for it.
He raises her hand.
Yeah, as we become more and more and we get more things we need to do, it would be good if we organize a spot where we're putting all these things of what we want and what we are going to do.
I mean, what would be our main base of operation? Aside from here and the
I was
atrium.
hoping to ask Toronto what we have laying around that we aren't probably fully aware of. If there's any more places like that that Victor may have set up.
I mean,
We have actually a few properties. Not very many. They used to be quite extensive, very much like the Ashfall. But there is some remaining. We should visit the bank and get a proper statement.
yeah.
And their LA, somebody to help manage these resources full time. Yeah, at a job.
You guys must be new to having a guild.
Well, as you can tell of how we win and everything, yes.
Yeah.
We kind of inherit it, and most of the time we're just used to being greenhorns that try to figure this stuff out itself, so I see no difference.
It's about time we starting to get reins on it.
Might as well, yeah.
I knew these guys for like an entire other timeline for a very long time, and they only ever did anything by themselves. So, yeah, it's way past time. It's a whole timeline and a half past time. Let's do this.
Alrighty.
Do it.
Yeah.
Zell puts his hand in the middle.
Exactly. She does it at the same time.
Yeah.
With that look of competitiveness in her eyes. She stares at you like,
He squeals and puts her hand in the middle.
Look at everybody else.
Yep, our hand in the middle.
Eliza looks at everyone
Right there, puts his hand in.
and just like slowly puts her hand in too.
Babette does not put her hand in the middle because she assumes that she is not part of the guild.
Everybody looks at you.
Like,
You're getting clears about that.
Eliza's
You
like,
in or?
hit her on the hip, like she's just gonna like smack her a little bit, like to indicate put your fucking hand in.
Oh, am I a part of this now? And then she kind of
I mean, you've been in multiple situations with us.
It started this whole.
Yes, it is ultimately your choice.
it's a
but-
long interview, I see. And then she puts her hand in.
You're not allowed to leave me anyway.
True.
I'm just gonna glance at the other NPCs.
You know, I'll just nod their head one after the other. You see as Kelly puts her hand in just about the same time that Babette puts hers in, and Maya puts hers in right after Kelly puts hers in. She just kind of shrugs her shoulder and puts her hand in, and Willem just goes, I don't know. Commitment is never really.
Willem.
You can do it, Willem, then you can do it.
Damn.
Yeah, no, as soon as he says that, Zarma just squints at him. This is why I have a hard time trusting you with things.
He's very lazy, even with his promises. Don't worry about it. I believe in you, Will.
I believe you won't too. Wait to get everybody in here. And then Tirana.
And Tirana puts her hand in.
Okay.
And
Yep.
Count of 3, we sail Maelstrom. She
No,
looks,
no,
she looks
Stars
very...
and Seas is
Oh,
my-
okay, fine. Okay, fine.
Yeah,
Stars and
Maelstrom.
Seas.
No.
Yeah. And everybody did 1, 2, 3. Everybody shot something different.
Damn it, you guys.
Oh, I feel like this is the perfect embodiment of this guild.
Okay, please stop
That's
the
about right.
recording. Everything after this devolves.
Oh, God.